stand-up comic. Also, one thing I want to say before I start is, there's been a lot of safety issues with comedians, as we're all aware. I just want to say I'm not going to make a joke about G.I. Jane, but I might make a joke about the GI tract. So please don't slap me. George has my security. I wrote down go slow and breathe, because that's my problem. So thank you all. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, NutriIngredients, for having me up here. I'll try to stick to time here, but I really do want to thank George and IPA for having the vision of my probiotic comedy career 5 years ago. And you saw what great work IPA is doing with all the great committees. But I do really want to encourage you all to join IPA if you're not, because in addition to all that great community work, they support struggling probiotic comics like myself, and it's an art form that we really do want to support as an industry, because probiotic comedy, it's still kind of niche, but as we'll talk about, it's kind of growing. I do have a whole new set prepared for you today. So for those of you who have seen my sets, how many of you have seen me before? Thank you. I don't want to disappoint you. I'm probably not going to tell some of the classics, some of the audience favorites, I might say. Just one just to warm it up. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
CF.
CF.
CFU! I'm also, that's an oldie, that was from my first act, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Also, as I was walking in the room today, Sandra Seville graciously handed me, this is actually true, she wrote about 18 jokes here for me to use in my act today. The problem with them all is they're so incredibly filthy, dirty jokes that I just can't tell most of them. I'm kidding, she's laughing. I'll tell one. Why are bacteria bad at math? Because they multiply by dividing. Oh. Thank you, Sandra. It's one of my only non-original jokes that I didn't write myself. So this is all new set here that I've been workshopping in local probiotic comedy clubs around the district. Hope you like it. I'm just going to throw my notes down. New materials. All right. Comedy. Who here is from out of town? It's a joke. That's why ingredients start. Thank you very much. Well, I am actually from DC, and I'm very excited to welcome you all sort of to my hometown. I'm not actually in my hometown, I'm in Virginia, but DC. And actually, amazingly enough, this is the very first time I've played the DC probiotic comedy circuit. So I'm very excited. I've played Vegas many times. I've played Vegas at Supply Side West. Played Vegas at Supply Side West. I played Vegas at Supply Side West. I played Vegas at Supply Side West at the Probiotic Resource Center at Supply Side West, which is also known as the birthplace, the mecca for probiotic comedy. But I also did play one other time live, other than Las Vegas, and that was in Dublin in 2020 for Probiota Dublin. Stephen is nodding his head. Who was at the Probiota Dublin conference? And so I did a little impromptu set. I was sort of forced to jump up on the stage at a bar there. Probably did that CFU joke. What's fascinating, of course, about Probiota Dublin was it was in February of 2020, right? So that was right before everything changed. That was right before the world as we know it is no more. Of course, I'm talking about in April 2020 when they published the taxonomy change to the Lactobacillus strain. Who remembers that hype, right? But I like to call that as sort of the Y2K of the probiotic world. Everyone was all panicked about that. So after COVID, of course, was an also big thing that happened after Dublin. I started doing a lot of Zoom probiotic comedy. I was actually recorded for the last Probiota. I did a CRN conference. And sort of what I like about Zoom is I'm very sort of comfortable doing probiotic comedy on Zoom because much like my live performances, I'm just used to not hearing people laugh. So I am from DC, and it's interesting being from DC. People ask me all the time, oh, you're from DC, you must talk about politics. You and your friends just must sit around and talk about politics all the time. Which always struck me as odd, right? Because if you're from Paris, Is that the first thing people say? Oh, you must talk about politics all the time. No, you talk about cheese and stuff like that. So no, the answer is I don't always just sit around and talk about politics with my friends. You know, I sit around and talk about what all other people, what all other Americans talk about, right? We talk about our kids, we talk about sports, we talk about whether, you know, an NDI should be strain specific or species specific. Thank you. So there's two. Sorry. So do you know, for politics, speaking of politics, there's only 2 requirements to be a president of the United States of America. A lot of people here aren't from America. A lot of you aren't constitutional scholars like I am. 2 requirements are: 1, you have to be 35 years old, at least 35 years old. Kind of young to be a president. Probably most of you can make that in here. But also you have to be born in the United States. A strange requirement, but that's the way it is. You have to be born in the United States at 35 years old. There's 2 requirements, that's it. No more, no more. I'm thinking we should amend that definition or amend the Constitution to a couple more requirements. And I want to model it after the World Health Organization's definition of probiotics, which makes perfect sense for this room, right? So the World Health Organization is obviously, everyone knows, you have to be a live microorganism and confer a health benefit on the host. 2 more things. You have to be 35, but it doesn't say you have to be live. Joe Biden. You like that, Scott? Thank you very much. And you have to confer a health benefit on the host. How perfect would that be? Whether you consider the United States or the globe, the President of the United States should have to confer a health benefit on the host. How about that? Thank you very much. Getting political here. And I'm kind of sick and tired of the 2-party system in America, right? We've got Democrats, Republicans, gridlock, nothing gets done. We need a 3rd party. What should it be called? Probioticans. That's what we need. So, who should our candidate be? That's the big thing. Who should our candidate be? We should probably have a little delegation here. We should vote on a candidate to be president. I've thought of a few people. You know, George is kind of the obvious choice because he's already run the World Congress. He's the perfect guy, but he's Canadian, so he can't. Len Monheit back there, wave Len. He would be great because he would secure the prebiotic vote, which is a crucial voting bloc in this country, but Canadian. Can't do it. Stephen Daniels would be a wonderful, wonderful president, but British. Dang, good, but I do want to nominate him for Poet Laureate. Mike Bush, Scott Bush, meet all the requirements, but we've had too many frickin' Bushes in the White House. Who else do we got? Scott Ravitch, speaking of Scott Ravitch. I think he'd be a great candidate. Why? Because he has run the company that most sounds like it could be a country. Deerland. Where are you from? I'm from Deerland. Gotta worry about Lyme disease in that place. Solange would be great. We need a woman president, for God's sakes, right? We need a woman president. It would be wonderful. Yeah, Irish North America. Yeah, Hank Schultz. Because today he turned 35 years old, so he can finally become president. So no matter who we pick as our probiotic nominee, we have to be very careful as we craft our platform, right? We need very specific talking points. America's got short little attention span. We need 3, and I come up with three talking points. It's sure to win the election. 1, we're against more taxes, but we're for more taxonomy. We are big proponents of diversity, right? Thank you. And this one's the most important because it's going to be very hard. Not as probioticans to take this position, but we have to say, don't say it at all. We are against colonization. Okay, that's the end of my political talk. This is going kind of fast, actually, which is good because drinks are coming. Now is the time of my act, which I've never done before, where I do 3 really bad impressions. Okay, I've expanded my act into impressions. my first impression, and these are all of comedians who have seen what I do and want to break into the very, very niche world of probiotic comedy. And you can tell how hard it is because these three famous comedians have failed miserably. The first one, who actually saw me many years ago before he passed away, was none other than Rodney Dangerfield. And he, of course, told a couple jokes like this. I can't do impressions. It was just that. I tell you, I get no respect at all. I'm so old, the other day, my microbiome left me for a younger host. My wife, I tell you, my wife. The other day, I got a bottle of probiotics for my wife. Best trade I ever made. That's another joke I didn't write. It's supposed to be about golf clubs, but it works. Okay, this is my most risky impression. Here's Chris Rock trying to do probiotic comedy. Okay, I need a little. I was in Walgreens the other day. They were selling probiotics for $45. $45 for a bottle of probiotics. That's just bacteria. Can you believe it? You want some bacteria? You go to the McDonald's, you play in the ball pit, and you get all the bacteria you want. And for $1, you get a hamburger. Thank you very much. And for my last impression, this is Mickey Mouse talking to Goofy, trying to do probiotic comedy. Oh, hey Goofy! Gosh, Mickey. Goofy, what do you call the little fairy that hasn't been taking her probiotics, so she's passing a lot of gas? Gosh, Mickey, what do you call a little fairy that's passing a lot of gas? Stinkerbell! Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience, but before I close, I want to bring out a special guest who many of you may have met, many of you may have remembered from Supply Side West. He has made one appearance before, but he's excited to see all of you. But he's very sort of concerned about COVID, so I apologize, but I have to put my mask on. Sorry about this. Can you still hear me with my mask on?
Yes.
All right. Ladies and germs, straight from my gut, a bacteria that needs no introduction. I give you Stanley, the probiotic. Say hi, Stanley. Hi, everybody. What are you doing? Oh, what do you mean I'm doing comedy? I thought you were a lawyer. I am, but I also do comedy, Stanley. You knew that. What? Are all you people paying for this? No, they're not paying for this. This is sort of a freebie that comes with the conference. Good, because you get what you pay for. Stanley, that's not nice. Sorry. Why are all these people here actually? Well, they're learning about you. This conference is about Stanley? No, it's about probiotics. Wow, I hope you guys learn a lot about me. Smile for the camera, Stanley. Hi! So awesome, I really can't wait to hear how much you guys learn. And anytime you have any questions about probiotics, you can just ask me, Stanley. Bye! So with 17 seconds left, that is literally the end of my little skit here. You've been a wonderful audience.
I want to give a special thanks to Stanley and also Ivan for the set. I think this is now just cemented itself into the program, so we're locked in. All right, hopefully there are no lawyers for Disney, because I know they're going to be quite disinterested.